Hello again my dudes, welcome back to the channel. This is Kadima bringing you another Elden Ring DLC build video, this time using quite a peculiar weapon, something that you don't really see around in the arena much, and not even for PvE to be honest. And we are talking about the Poleblade of the Bud. Now this weapon is something you can get from the DLC, as I just said. It's an halberd, it's got a unique Ash of War, Romina's Purification. The attribute scaling is E with Strength, D with Dexterity, and B with Arcane. Attributes required 14 Strength, 22 Dexterity, 20 Arcane. It's got a bit of a demanding going on, but with my current stats and build, this has an attack rate of 611, which is not massive, it's nothing crazy. The damage is purely physical, and it does have a passive effect of Scarlet Rod build up 55, which is not great as well. But with this build, it is fun to use, especially in the arena. You can use it in PvE, as you are about to see, but where it shines the most, considering it's more of a meme weapon, if anything, it's in the arena. I'm using a twin bird kite shield with the golden parry, just in case I run into someone just spamming running attacks, for example, in the arena. It's quite useful to have. And also, because this is a halberd, I find that when you pair it with a shield, and you are one-handing the pole blade, the running R1 actually feels like it's got a bit more reach, and that's why it's also there. Mushroom Crown, it's the piece of armor I'm using that will also boost the damage when rot or poison happens in the vicinity. So when we manage to proc the rot, for example, with the pots, this will give us a nice little boost. Same for the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation. The rest of the armor is Armor of Solitude for the chest, and for the legs and gauntlets we got Verdigris pieces. Shard of Alexander to boost our Ash of War, Romina's Purification. Two-handed Sword Talisman because we are two-handing the pole blade pretty much 90% of the time. Great Jar's Arsenal because we want to be quite tanky with this build. And Kindred of Rot's Exaltation, as I just said. Exalted Flesh will be our only buff, but to keep things interesting, we also be using the FT Rot Pot, as I said, and the Fetid Pot, which is not great because you will poison yourself in the process, but it's still fun to use. And also, if you poison yourself, it also counts for the Kindred of Rot and the Mushroom Crown. I try to avoid this because in the arena, when you're poisoned, yes, you can cure yourself, but I try not to, and it's just nice thing to have just in case. If you're playing PvE, for the flask I recommend Spikecrack Tear, which temporarily boosts charged attack power because when you combine it with Leaden Hard Tear, which temporarily boosts poise, and if you just spam charged attacks, you'll be doing quite nice bits of damage and you'll break your enemy guards, and you're good to go that way. Again, for the stats, I'm level 151, Vigor at 55, Mind at 10, Endurance at 41, because I want to be quite tanky and have nice amount of stamina, Strength at 14, Dexterity of 22, and Arcane at 70 to boost up the damage a little bit as much as possible. And that's pretty much it, guys. I just want to showcase the Ash of War, which is basically this butterfly dance. And the reason why this is actually quite funny is that the butterflies will stay and linger and then they will explode. And the explosion will do a nice bit of damage, but it will also cause rot. The attack itself, if you actually hit your enemies with the pole blade, it does about 400 damage per hit. So if you manage to get both hits and the explosions from the butterflies, you can go as high as 1000 damage. It's not easy to pull off. But it's very, very fun to use, as you are about to see in the examples that follow. If you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. It does help quite a lot along the way. If you are one of my regular viewers, thank you so much for the continuous support. But enough said, let's watch those examples straight away. Let's start with the usual suspect, with the Black Knight. Get that Exalted Flesh going and the flask ready. The Mimic is already behind me. I'm going to use a hefty pot just for the bonus. Unfortunately, I was actually too far away and I didn't get the bonus to the attack from the talisman and the helmet, which is unfortunately, I thought I was close enough, but I wasn't. If I was, I would be doing way more damage than this. But in any case, you can see that if you just go with charged R2s or the Ash of War if you want. For this case, I'd rather just go with the charged R2s than the Ash of War. But as you can see, Blood Fiend guy, same story. He's actually gonna beat the living bejesus out of me at first, because I was kind of getting the mimic out to give me that precious hand so I can buff myself, and then we will just ruin him together, as I like to do. Just getting my space, gotta heal just so I'm comfortable at full HP. Get that flask ready. Now I've got pretty much a tremendous amount of poise. I'm gonna do an Ash of War just because it's funny. He actually nearly killed me here. As you can see, my HP was actually quite low. But I decided I'll just go with charged R2s. As you can see, it does a little bit of damage. He's got the rot going, so that gives me the boost, and I finish him quickly. Now for the PvP, where this build is actually funny. I gotta say two things before you start watching the examples. First, I was actually trying to kill people with the butterfly effect, as I call it, which is the Ash of War. Trying to kill people with the Ash of War itself is very satisfying. The other thing I was trying to do was, why not just let them die to the rot? Which is also very funny. If you watched any of my previous build videos, you know it's something I like to do. I like to use those FT rot pots to get some wins and just watch the enemies die to the rot. So you will see a mix of fights where I actually finish them off, like this one. Fights where I actually try to go with the Ash of War, and you can see I'm trying to land it, or just me watching them die to the rot. So I think this build, although it's not great, it gives a lot of options. It's very fun. You can always go with the shield as well. I could have used the shield to parry this guy, for example, but I was really focused on trying to get the damage going. But as you are about to see, I'm going to break his guard, and the weapon does quite a nice bit of damage with the critical. 1200 damage and 50, it's not so bad. GG, bro. Now for the next one, fighting a mage, which is a little bit annoying, but there goes the pot. I actually missed. Here comes the frostbite, which he misses. Then I managed to get the rot going. Unfortunately, I was too far away, didn't get the bonus. It's not a problem. I actually got hit pretty hard there, but it's an eye for an eye. We are pretty much doing each other some damage. He's got the upper hand at the moment, but that running R2 and this poking R1 kind of balanced the scale, and then I finished him off with a simple running R1. GG. Now for this guy, this is one of the guys that I fought that I genuinely just felt good about watching him die to the rot. So as you can see, I actually got him rot straight away at the start of the fight, and then I just went doing some damage, as you can see, trying to pull some butterflies, which he does manage to dodge most of it, but it still got hit, because the butterflies, it leaves a sort of a trail that, yes, you can dodge some of them, but if you are caught in the midst of it, you will always be hit by at least 1 or 2 explosions. So that's a nice thing about the Ash of War. Again, guys, don't fool yourselves. There's nothing broken or overpowered about this weapon or this build. It's just fun to use. And here it is. That's just me watching him die to the rot. You can tell he gave up, so I'm just gonna give him a thumbs up in my own personal style, getting him in the ring, in the center of that ring of Mikola. Now this guy, it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to watch him die to the rot. This guy was actually bringing him a lady with a shield, which is quite neat. Didn't manage to get any of the explosions. At some point I actually thought about trying to parry him, but you know, I've done clips with me parrying people, clips of me watching people die to the rot, and this time I said, why not? I'll just go with the rot, try to get some butterflies going as well. But there you go, nice hefty pod throw, free aiming, and I guess he did kind of try to go for it for a while, but then when he realized I was going to just dodge all of his attacks, he just gave up. Props to him. GG, bro. I hope I'll see you in a future fight. There's a ring of Mikola for you for the fair play. And here we go, another example. I actually enjoyed, I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting to enjoy this weapon this much. The reason being, this weapon was quite terrible before the patch. It's still not great, but at least the patch kind of fixed the way it tracks the enemy,
It used to be terrible. It didn't used to track the enemy at all. It was just basically two random swings in all sorts of direction. So now you can feel it's a bit better. It also gets a lot more poise when you start floating in the air, which it didn't before. Before the patch, the moment your character jumped in the air to initiate the Ash of War, you could easily just get interrupted, same as with the aspect of the Crucible wings. So they kind of fixed those things, and now those are fun to use, as you can see in my previous build video. Now, this guy again, I fought him before, fair play to him. Trying to get people with the butterfly kill, it's not easy, but it's very fun to do. And I like to set myself some sort of a goal or an objective during my duels, just to keep it interesting, to keep it challenging. I could play full try hard, and although some people might think that I play try hard, I'm sorry that I disagree. I genuinely play for fun. Most of my duels are chilled. Of course I want to win, I prefer to win, but I don't really focus my energy on just winning at all costs. And as you can see, I managed to trap him between the butterflies, and I got that lovely win. Ring of Mikola for the GG. Now this guy, I'm actually fighting this guy a couple of times in this build video. This was the first time. You can see there's quite a bit of lag going. He's like stuttering on the screen, which is not ideal, but I kept just going with it anyways, and he's playing quite passively, considering that he's using one of the meta weapons at the moment, which is Rakshasa's Great Katana. It's a very good weapon. If you use it right, it's absolutely devastating. But for some reason, he was being quite passive, so I just punished him with a full hit of the Ash of War for 988 damage, guys. And then he falls into the pit of the butterflies, and he gets the rot going. So at this stage, I think to myself, he's got the rot, he's stuttering, he now changed the backhands, you can see him floating around everywhere. I'm not going to put my energy into trying to finish him off, I'm just going to let him go with the rot. And I think that's the best thing to do here, considering how poor this connection is. But again, we're going to have another fight coming straight after. And it's going to be a bit better than this way. Ring of Mikola for the win. But again, you saw this guy a minute ago. He comes back, this time with a great sword, which is funny. In any case, trying to get those R1s going. Just outspacing him, trying to time my attacks, because I really don't want to get hit by that great sword. I only have 55 vigor. So every time I get hit, as you can see, a big chunk of my HP goes away. So I gotta be a bit careful. I do have nice armor and damage negation, but still, all it takes is 2 or 3 hits from that great sword and I'm gone. So gotta be playing a little bit careful. But still, I'm going to try to get the butterflies, of course. Didn't manage to connect with that running R1, but not a problem. I did manage it with this one. Gotta dodge that running attack. Almost connected that R1. Didn't connect that one, but did connect this one. He's got a lot of HP, as you can see. And then I decided to go with a little bit of butterflies, and I did quite a nice bit of damage. And then I decided, why not? I'm going to try again. See if I can get the win. Didn't get it. And then I realized this guy is using the tornado. Maybe I can actually trick him into capturing him. But there was no need. He ran into the butterflies, and I got the win. Next fight is the same guy as a couple of rounds ago. He now changed from Rakshasa's Great Katana to the Swift Spear, which is a nice weapon. Not really up to my taste, but as you saw, those two attacks did about 1100 damage. Of course, because he's got Rakshasa set, he's going to take increased damage. You gotta take that into account. But I'm gonna finish him off with the butterflies on this one. Just trying to get the nice opportunity. And there we go. He opened himself up with that combo, and I just finish him off with the butterflies. Butterfly effect for the win. Now this guy, I fought him quite a lot of times during this build video when I was gathering footage. But most of the fights with this guy tended to last very long because he's light equip load, he can run and he can dodge really fast. but this one was quite quick, so I decided to add him to the footage. And not just that, I did manage to trap him into those butterflies quite neatly and finish him off with a running R1, so this was a good fight. Again, another nice duo. This guy was actually quite nice. I messaged him a GG at the end of the fight. It was a good fight. I think I got him by surprise. Maybe he wasn't expecting the butterfly effect. As I said, I don't really see anyone else using this weapon in the arena. There is good reason for it. There's nothing OP or broken about it. But because I like to make different videos and use different things, sometimes set myself a challenge, that was what was going on here. As you can see, that lovely butterfly hit did around 500 damage, which is not so bad. And then I decided to, because he was spamming the parry, to try to finish him off with one, and I managed to get the win. In any case, guys, this is going to be the last example for this build video. If you are new to the channel, I do request that you consider subscribing. It does help a long way, and I truly appreciate all of your support. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope I'll see you in the next one, of course. Take care. Cheerio!